Hello and welcome to Rise and Shine with Alissa. I am the consultress, your hostess, bringing you live information from the front lines of innovation in entrepreneurship, investing, and sometimes parenting. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you know me and my family values that comes through in my business. So I invite people here to speak that I would consider to have dinner with my family. So I'm so blessed to have Carson Alexander here with me today. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Amen. And now that I don't live in New York anymore, this is the way we have to hang out, right?
That's right. That's right.
So when we met in a business forum, I know you as the consummate geek of all things real estate information, investing, and your transactions are, commercial and residential in New York, in the city specifically, in the boroughs. But let's have a chat about, your vast knowledge. You grew up Texan and wound up in the Northeast, so you kind of have a broad swath of experience. So how did you get to the place where you are today?
I think that really I think everyone sort of has a similar, at least I find lately, the definition of success is sort of like the through line is like to do what I want to do when I want to do it with whom I want to do it with. And there's a book I was reading called, I think it's called The Gap and the Gain, and it's about like freedom from or freedom to. And there's freedom from, schedules and bosses and stuff, and then there's freedom to, which is a more sort of abundant way of interacting with the world. Freedom to go there and do that and meet this person. And so real estate really kind of like got under my skin in that way, in terms of like trying to get more freedom in my life. um, the down payments to buy real estate in New York City are cost prohibitive. I mean, just to be straight out honest. Also, the price to rent ratios for cash flow are not amazing. In New York City, I think that when people are buying in New York City, they're buying for appreciation, which is real and tangible. It's like a blue chip stock. It's the Coca-Cola. It's like never really going down, always kind of going up. So when I was trying to invest in real estate, I got into deep into Bigger Pockets, um, and read the real estate, like the long distance real estate investing book. And that all kind of just timed out perfectly with me sitting in front of a computer, um, looking at Fannie Mae HomePath properties. So these are homes that have been foreclosed on that Fannie Mae is selling again. Um, and I was like, well, what do I know? Because I've had mentors in the past who have told me, don't buy anywhere that you're not going to want to hop on a plane at the last minute and go there and take care of something, or
I
don't
see.
buy somewhere where you don't have any kind of support network at all, right? So I was like, I have a support network in Texas, obviously Central Texas. I'm born and raised in Austin, and so I found this place in Austin. And I ended up flipping a property about an hour outside of Austin in a town called Rockdale. Um, and it was an amazing experience, sort of game changing for me in my journey. Um, and I think that while owning real estate is not, I think owning a home, owning your primary residence is not necessarily for everybody. But I do think that people should be aware of the benefits of ownership of real estate, period. And I don't want people to look at their immediate surroundings and decide that they can't afford them and then decide that they can't own real estate, because that's not true.
It absolutely is not true. And I want to just thank you for saying that in this age of digital nomadicness, where we all can work from computer, have Wi-Fi, will travel, that actually is becoming more and more popular. 10 years ago, when my husband and I decided we did not necessarily want to buy a home in Long Island, just for the purposes of what you're describing, like people buy and hold for appreciation, yeah, but the cash flow doesn't maybe make sense in some of the other profit areas. But for us, knowing that we wanted to live in a place that had a lower cost of living, but that we also wanted to invest somewhere, for cash flow, it kind of
Mhm.
made the decision for us, and knowing where the risk factors were, we wanted a place that had more favorable laws for landlords, and
Yep.
that was our primary thinking before we even bought our primary home. So,
Mm.
like, that is what paved the track and helped us make the decision on where to live, in fact. Like, it was all, let's figure out what our legacy and our long-term wealth building plan is, and then maybe we'll back in. Obviously, and most of the people who watch know, I moved to someplace rural so that I could have vacation when I stepped out the back door and snuck into my hammock,
Totally.
so yeah, and that's what I've been doing, whenever the weather is nice. So, for me, knowing that peace of mind of saying, having and holding real estate has its own intrinsic value. And part of what I teach is around, thinking of real estate as a business model. You don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to think of it as only having utility for a place to live, because as a
Mhm.
renter and as an owner, like, everyone needs a place to live that's a product and service that's in demand.
Mhm.
And can you describe a little bit more about the benefits of owning property and kind of what drew you into, having that investor experience yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think I wanted to practice what I've been preaching, number 1. I mean, I've been a real estate agent since 2009, and I was very aware of the benefits of real estate investing because I studied them, and I saw in real time my clients. I cashed out their equity for them many times over, or I rented out their properties for them, or I, evaluated this multifamily for them, and so I, like, kept seeing it, seeing it, seeing it, and that's why I really was like, "I have to do this," because I think that, you know I think there's also an aspect of this which is like go with what you know. And obviously for me, I know real estate because that's how I support myself and how my wife supports herself as well. Because we work together as agents. And so I think that, I was studying the stock market a lot and I just decided that's something that I don't know enough about to day trade. I'm just not that's not calling my name. I'm not gonna get there, only go the easier, softer way and go with what I know, which is real estate. And so I think that was a big part of it as well.
Right on. And the fact is that when you go with what you know, even if what so for me coming into real estate, what I knew was financial literacy. I had worked as a financial advisor. I was licensed to be able to transact in the stock market as well as insurance products. And I knew how to speak the language of finance. So my entry into real estate investment was private notes. Like, I knew how to
Mhm,
speak the language and, turn the knobs and levers around rate of return when it comes to buying debt or, borrowing. So that piece of it was what opened the world for me. So for those of you who are looking to become real estate investors or take your mom and pop initiative to a scalable business model that creates true wealth, the way you think about it is, okay, first of all, what do I already know? And how does that lend itself to investing in real estate? Maybe hire a coach of sorts to get clarity on where your strong suits are, but then fill the team, because this
mhm,
business is not a I go it alone type of business. You were saying don't go anywhere where you don't have backup support or you don't personally feel like you want to jump on a plane to get to. You also want to make sure you have a deep bench of people who can put out fires for you if you're not local to where you're investing. So, really, really smart intuition around making sure you know what you know, and then also get very brushed up on knowing what you don't know and then solving for that problem.
yeah, and I think as entrepreneurs, and also I don't feel like it's possible anymore for, Americans, people throughout the world to retire based off of 401(k)s and IRAs alone. It's just not in my experience, I did the math so many times before I started investing in real estate personally, and I just could never bridge the gap. And so I was like, I got to do something else, right? And so that's when I was like, I think everyone, if they sat down and thought about it long enough, there's a part of real estate that they understand and a part of real estate that they know, even if they've never flipped a house or bought a house or sold a house or whatever. There's aspects of it that you know, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with people, right? Even if you strip away real estate, it's all about relationships and sales. And I think on that note, as entrepreneurs, we're always lead generating for opportunities, but we're also always lead generating for talent and people that we want to be either in business with or be in relationship with. And so like in terms of my long distance efforts, like right now I have an Airbnb that's 2.5 hours away from where I live. I am every time I'm out there, and I'm out there probably once a month or once every other month, I am talking to my neighbors. I'm talking to the people at the store, the hardware store, the lumber yard. If I find someone, even at the auto mechanic shop, I find people that are like good, that I get a good hit from. I want to know more about them. I want to ask them for help. I want to ask them if they know somebody. Who do you trust? And I'm always looking to build my bench because you need to keep building your bench, even if you have people for that role.
Amen. I mean, and even for those of us who are not considering ourselves as in business, like for those of us that are just parents here in the audience, you're always marketing and selling yourself for what Carson was just saying about being in relationship. You need to know if there are other moms in the area who can help you when you need a babysitter or you need someone to come and help you fix your faucet. But back to your point about everybody knows something about real estate. Do you live in a place?
Yeah.
Have you had a faucet that you've need replaced? Have you YouTubed that stuff or have you had to call an expert in? Like these are the relationships, like I always say, relationships run the world. These are the connections that help us to be successful in whatever it is we decide that we're up to.
Hmm.
So, deepening your bench of relationships, sometimes we put too much as business owners, we put too much of a caveat around who we will meet and how we
Hmm.
will talk to people. And I love hearing that like when you go to your Airbnb, you talk to the neighbors and the mechanics and everything else, because that is the economy that you're creating of goodwill. Like you're creating a space where people know who you are and then want to help and want to be with you or do business or help you, right? So I drove upstate where my dad has a hunting cabin that he built with his friends. And it was once he passed, it was about a year later. We went up there, just me and my kids and my husband, and our transmission blew. Now,
Mm.
none of our family lives in the area. We don't know a soul, but my father was just like you, Carson. He said he would always bring bagels wherever he went because that was our family business and talk to people always at Agway. What are you up to? What are you working on? How'd you make out with that thing you told me last time? And the
Mhm.
goodwill that just happened to emanate from the people my dad attracted to his life. I remember on the side of the road, I saw a sign with this guy's name on it who was selling land. And I'm like, I recognize that name. I've heard it before. I called him, who then called someone who was a mechanic who came to meet us where we were broken down and helped us to figure out what the problem was and help
Yeah.
us find room and board to be able to stay there till our tow was available. Like none of that would have been able to happen and we would have been up the creek with no proverbial paddle
Oh, yeah.
unless that act of goodwill and creating community had preceded me. And
And
so like,
you can always count on, like, good people know good people. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
they attract good people. So, like, when I get, like, a good like, when someone does what they say they're gonna do, like, that's huge for me. Just, like, in passing, especially in rural areas where, like, as a business owner in a rural area, no offense, but like you don't have to return every phone call within 5 minutes to keep the job just because like there's not enough professionals in that area. And
Mhm.
so in rural areas, when you get someone who shows up when they say they're going to show up and who does what they say they're going to do, you better believe I'm keeping that person's phone number and I am, showering them with praise because they're a good individual and they know other good individuals who treat people the same way.
Amen. And I mean, isn't that why you're here? I
Yeah.
mean, when you feel the zing and you feel like you're dealing with a kindred soul, you want to find other ways to hang out. So, ladies and gentlemen, like this is a love fest because like I don't get to hang out with this guy enough. And I'm here because this is one of the ways that I get to hang out with people who I find to be on purpose, aligned, and who do good things in the world. So I'm so jazzed to have you here, especially our shared interest around economics and data and, penciling things out and figuring out where the next great move is. So we could talk all day about that stuff, and I would love to have you come back. But for right now, can you let people know if you're in the New York City area, everybody should have Carson's number. Look him up. He's on my LinkedIn, etc. But where would you like people to go to be able to find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, my Instagram is at the Carson Alexander team. And so you can always just find me there, message me however, or you can just Google Carson Alexander and real estate, and I guarantee wherever I am at the time, my phone number is going to pop up on Google. So give me a call, give me a text, whatever.
Yeah, and this is what I love about you. You answer your phone, and we've had a couple conversations over the last month or two around some of the activity you've been having, investment related, transaction related, and I'm super happy and thankful that you're on my team. You're part of my bench, and I really appreciate that very much.
Man, the feeling's very mutual. So I'm
High
very
five.
yes.
Right on. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we will close this episode of Rise and Shine. We broadcast every Monday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss an episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss us. And in the meantime, Carson, have a fabulous day, and I will see you on the other side of the Zoom.
Thank you.
Bye.